Welcome to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast, episode 121.
Welcome to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast with your host, Jack Mountain Bushcraft School founder and Master Maine Guide, Tim Smith.
I'm your host, Tim Smith. I'm a registered Master Maine Guide and have been a full-time outdoor instructor and guide since founding the Jack Mountain Bushcraft School in 1999. We help people become more skilled, more knowledgeable, more experienced, and more confident in the natural world through our bushcraft and guide training semester programs and multi-week canoe and snowshoe expeditions. You can check out the show notes to all of our podcasts at blog.jackmtn.com. If you're interested in learning more about our college-accredited and GI Bill-approved programs, visit the Jack Mountain Bushcraft School on the web at jackmtn.com. And check out our online network and digital learning academy at bushcraftschool.com. Hello and welcome back to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast. It's May. The bugs have just started to come out here in northern Maine, and I think they're pretty hungry. They haven't eaten since last September. So, it's kind of like meeting a bunch of old friends, and there's going to be a lot of them. I'm joined here today by Oz and Rick from last episode. We're together for a month this course, so you'll hear from the three of us again, I'm sure, before too long. How's it going today, gentlemen?
Doing well.
Doing awesome.
Awesome. So we're 1 week into the wilderness canoe expedition semester. We had some carnage out on the river yesterday with people flipping boats, but the water's still pretty cold. Levels are coming down, but it's always hard learning poling from scratch, right? This might be the most difficult thing that we teach here at Jack Mountain. And it's just often really hard for some people to get it. And this course isn't disappointing. We had a few people swimming yesterday, and it was, what'd you say? It was like 52 degrees Fahrenheit with a wind and no direct sun. So it was pretty chilly when
cold.
You consider the water's like in the low 40s still. It was cold. But today's a day off. Tomorrow we're going to go out on a local stream that's really fast and windy, and we're excited about that. And then we're headed off on our first big trip of the month. So we'll go out for 8 days, 7 nights, go to the headwaters of the Aroostook and float back. It's going to be fun. Always look forward to running this trip in the spring. It's just always enjoyable. And it just feels kind of like home. But it's funny, you get to these remote campsites and maybe one or two of them I haven't been to since this time last year. But you just feel like you could spend the whole summer right there. Really excited about that. So, question for you guys, new to the instructor side. You guys both went through this program. I'm just curious what you think, what's different? What's different for you?
I think the biggest thing that I'm learning is it's one thing to learn all of these skills, which is a bunch of stuff in the first week, is then how do I explain that to somebody in a way that they can quickly and hopefully confidently pick up these skills. So my challenge so far has just been able to break things down, learning Tim's system on how to instruct all of this information, because it's a lot. And like Tim said, polling. Looking back when I started first polling in the journeyman course, I literally was dry heaving the first day, and I didn't see anybody dry heaving yesterday, so that's a good thing. They're way ahead of where I was at that point. But so those are the two big things that I'm learning, and it's really interesting to see it from this side of the fence now.
Yeah, what do you think?
I love it. For me, in the Marine Corps, I think my favorite job was being an instructor, and I think the biggest difference for me is knowing the information well enough that you can fool the students that you know it well enough, right? Like, you have to have that confidence. You have to know these little things, because each student's going to challenge you in a different way, and they're going to challenge the way you teach, right? Because not everybody learns the same way. And what I find interesting is learning to work with the different age groups, because, we've got students that are 18 years old all the way up to, during the first canoe semester that I came to, we had a student that was 52, right? So you have a wide range of students. Everybody's coming in with their own ways of looking at things and ways of learning. And so it's interesting to be able to kind of model a system that works for everybody. And it's also interesting to watch progression, right? You can see it so quickly. And when you're a student, you're just worried about your own progression. And, here you're really paying attention to each and every student. And it's just an interesting and very cool process to watch. And it's cool to watch their confidence grow. It's cool to watch them accomplish something and then, just grow exponentially just from that one experience. So I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, so one of the aspects of this course, because we spend week 1 in camp and then the rest of the month, the final 3 weeks, we're out on trips. So we've got to get people kind of like to a minimum level of competency to be safe when we're out, running these remote rivers and things. So we have a clearly demarked finish line in mind, like for week 1. And that finish line is going to be tomorrow, running down that windy stream. So I'm always a little bit nervous, like, well, what if somebody has like a couple of bad falls tomorrow and then it totally eliminates their confidence and things? How do we get that back? And I think that's something that's different about this course than, say, if it was just like a classroom based thing where you show people some stuff and you're running through some exercises. We don't have that luxury here. Like, we've got to get them safely down these remote rivers. So that's always kind of weighing on the back of my mind, getting people ready for that and making sure that we're not putting them into a situation that their skill set isn't ready for. Yeah, I guess that's the kind of the money quote right there is, yeah. I don't want to do day 1 of standing in the canoe on the pond and then instantly be running Chase Rapids on the Allagash like the next day. So it's always about having this well thought out progression where they can develop their skills and confidence and hopefully be ready for anything that's coming our way. That's
another thing too, is often in the military, as an instructor, you're there to kind of crush your student sometimes, right? And so coming at it from this perspective, you are constantly trying to build up your student. You're constantly trying to give them confidence. And so, that's a whole different perspective to come at your student, because you could crush them super quick, right? Just like you just said, oh, hey guys, jump in your canoes. And no matter how tough you are or how skilled you are, if I put a stick in your hand in an empty canoe and I put you on the Aroostook River, it's probably not going to be fun for you. And we'll pick you up down in Ashland when you figure it out, right? But I think that's a great learning experience I've had too. So,
and I think that kind of ties into from a military standpoint to a civilian standpoint and instructing is now we have to kind of learn each person's personality and kind of adapt our teaching abilities to that person's personality. Some people need some more one-on-one, and I think that's great having extra hands up here, being able to offer that students that one-on-one. I know it was all worthwhile yesterday for me when we had a student when I was trying to explain ruddering with the paddle and she just wasn't getting it, and then all of a sudden you could see the lights go off, and that's the money shot right there for me.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, though, I think it was you, Oz, about how sometimes it's a challenge because of the various ages of the students. So my challenge is that the younger students don't get any of my references to popular culture and jokes.
They don't get any.
Referencing 80s movies and stuff doesn't really work with people like under 30 at this point. So I'm limited in that regard, severely
That's
limited.
what the three of us. That's where all my jokes come from. I mean, if you haven't watched Talladega Nights or Anchorman, then I don't even know where to start with you.
Yeah, or Revenge of the Nerds, Police Academy.
We brought up a rotary phone yesterday, and some of the younger people were like, "What is this device you speak of?" Yeah. Rotary phone.
Well, I guess 3 weeks to go. We've got I just wrote up like kind of our itinerary for the rest of the course, and I think we have one more day off where we can kind of fart around in camp and go reload on food and stuff, but we're going to be just getting right after it for the next 3 weeks, and I'm kind of glad. Always get bored in the winter sitting around, and you just look forward to when you can get out and be on the river and be super active again, and we're there right now. So this is a great time of year. Super excited about it, but I don't think any of those people have any idea what the bugs are going to be like in a week or so. So stay tuned. We'll take pictures of carcasses that have no blood left in them because they were bled dry by the mosquitoes and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's going to be great.
So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about kind of what the theme for this episode is. Coming this fall, we've got a new course running here at the Jack Mountain Bushcraft School, the Maine Guide Medic. And this is going to be a wilderness first responder course. Rick is the chief instructor. He's our head medical instructor here. And we just wanted to talk a little bit about this course and kind of answer some of the questions regarding to why we're doing this. For me, before I started my career in guiding in 1996, I took a 4-week-long wilderness emergency medical course at Solo in Conway, New Hampshire. Had a great learning experience. Learned a ton. Maintained that EMT card for I think 8 years, maybe it was 7 years. I don't really remember exactly. And over the years since then, I've taken a variety of shorter medical courses. 2023. I took a wilderness first responder course. I figured, my medical training was so old that back, in the 90s, the answer for everything that was wrong was to put leeches on them, perform an exorcism, stuff like that. It was like Stone Age medicine.
Drain the pressure from the brain.
Yeah. So it was probably time for me to re-up my skills. They weren't actually that different. Sort of interesting though, emergency medicine has great leaps and bounds forward whenever we're at war for an extended period of time. They change a lot of the protocols, and we were at war for, it felt like a good 20 years from 2001 to, I don't know when it ended or if it has, or current. Yeah. So some things definitely changed. But I think it's, important to talk about something that I noticed a huge change in between the two courses. And that's, if you look at the acronym for a wilderness first responder, the WFR, I think that the W changed pretty significantly in that I think people these days have less actual kind of wilderness skills. And that's one of the big reasons why we're going to run this course. Because say in that first responder course I took, it was in an urban area. We went outside and sat on a soccer field or something and pretended we were lost in the mountains. But I think you can't really eliminate that part of the equation and still have it be authentic. So one of the big pushes for this course is going to be the wilderness component. For example, say if we needed to build an improvised litter to carry a patient, we need to make sure that the people know some good knots in order to do so. What if somebody has a unplanned immersion in cold water, dumps a canoe like yesterday. Remember the guy on the course was kind of barely not shivering. He was right on the cusp, and we were
absolutely
on the cusp of we're going to light a huge fire here right now. But having those skill sets, I think in addition to the current medical practice, the wilderness and wilderness first responder, we're going to spend a lot of time working on that.
Yeah. So when I teach traditional wilderness medicine courses, a lot of the questions and the requests I get are, how do I build a shelter, or how do I fell a tree or the wilderness component that Tim was talking about. And I've always wanted to put a course together that involved an overnight scenario with the patient. But first, you have to be able to take care of yourself. So we have 2 overnight scenarios built into the course, which is why it's 2 weeks long. One of them is going to involve a solo overnight where you go out into the woods with minimal equipment and spend the night and learn and figure out how much wood you need and does this insulative pine bough work when I sleep on it. So getting that hands-on feeling and experience is huge. And then the second scenario will involve taking care of a patient overnight, which is a whole nother level that I don't see a lot of schools teaching out there, and I want to bring that to the table, and I think that's what's really going to set us apart from other traditional wilderness medicine courses out there.
Yeah, the subtitle of the course is Taught by Guides for Guides. So the idea that maybe no one's coming to rescue you right away. If you're somewhere pretty remote, you're going to have to manage this. And like we talked about with the students that we currently have, confidence is such a huge part of, number one, being in a leadership position, and number two, managing any sort of a mishap or situation. I think somebody could have all the technical skills in the world, maybe has sat through hundreds of hours of lectures on how to manage something medically, but unless they have the attitude and the confidence, I don't think they would be as successful as they could be. But I think that someone who has a really good attitude, has a lot of confidence, when they bring that to the table, with the medical curriculum, that's a huge recipe for success, in my estimation.
Yeah, definitely. And I teach most of my classes in New Hampshire, which is a state that has the White Mountains, and Fish and Game recommends that each person carry a thing called the 10 Essentials. And I often think about all these people that are carrying these 10 Essentials. I wonder how many of them can actually spend a night safely with just those 10 items. And I think if we had people do that the numbers and the percentage would be pretty low. So that's another reason why we're running this course, is to be able to go out there and spend the night with minimal equipment, so that when you have to do it, it's not the first time running the show.
I haven't gone through this course. I'll be a student this November, but one of the things that I like about it is it's not, even though it's catering to the guide, I mean, I would love for someone like my wife to come through this, right, and have the ability. She breaks down in the middle of somewhere. She doesn't have a phone signal. She doesn't have a GPS signal on her. It's cold. She knows how to walk into the woods, do what she needs to do to stay warm, take care of the kids if there's a medical issue. And, I think this it's just great knowledge for anyone to have in general. And you're not going to be reading something and then it says, and now you extract the patient, and the instructor says, okay, and now we'll just pretend like a helicopter came and took care of things, right? In this course, it seems that
we're not going to have a helicopter. They're way too much money. So we are going to have a blimp, though. But it probably won't be a full-size blimp. It'll be like one of those little mini blimps that like the used car lot has to advertise. But
you may hit some trees on the way back, but you're good. You're good.
But you bring up a really good point, and this is another interesting thing about what I thought was different from 1996 to 2023 when I took the first responder course, and that is people's reliance on technology. A number of years ago, there was a woman who sadly passed away. She was an elderly woman hiking the Appalachian Trail in Maine, kind of wandered off the path and was totally reliant on her phone, and then the phone lost its battery. So just a sad, kind of tragic story all around. She ended up dying a couple hundred yards from the trail, but just was lost. And I think that having those hard skills that we're going to focus on this course is like the antidote to total reliance on technology. Because, technological things can break. The battery can die. they probably build them better now, but if you drop something, if it falls out of your pocket and falls 10 feet down a ravine and smashes on a rock, maybe it won't work anymore. So I think that 100% reliance on technology, which I think in more populated places is sort of the norm these days. I mean, I'm saying this, and all three of us have those little sat communicators when we're out on the river and things. But I think, that definitely it has its place, and it's definitely appropriate as far as communications and things go. But having that solid, almost primitive skill set to back it up, to rely on, that I think that is where another unique selling point for this course.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I have no doubt if there was a situation with us on this following trip in 8 days that between the three of us that it wouldn't be absolutely handled, right? And I think that anybody would want to have that same confidence going into a situation. So
yeah. Especially if it was the situation, that guy from Jersey Shore. Like,
He
imagine if
would.
we went out on this trip coming up and we ran into him out there.
Then we would have a situation.
We would have a situation which was also the situation. And it would probably be the most amazing trip of all time.
Only if Tuki's there. Is that her name?
Snooky.
Snooky.
Yeah,
Snooky.
Snooky.
Yeah.
Tuki.
So if you're interested in this course, we spent a whole bunch of time writing it up last winter. So it is currently GI Bill approved for this year, and probably next year we're going to run it in, I think it's the end of October or early November this year. It's on the schedule. And next year we will likely have it worked in as part of our bigger guide training semester, so that someone could say, take the semester course, get their journeyman card, take the medical course, and then they'd be all set up to go take their guide license exam and start guiding, because they'd have not only the skills but the confidence to pull it off.
Yeah, so just to mention the certs that we'll be offering through the course, each student will get a 3-year Wilderness First Responder certification, which is through SOLO, a 2-year Basic Life Support certification through SOLO, a Stop the Bleed national certification, that's an indefinite certification, and then Tim and I's Maine Guide Medic certification, which is indefinite. So 4 certs that you'll get if you come through the course, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. And you're almost guaranteed to get a lot of like 80s related jokes and things. Like, we'll talk about the Revenge of the Nerds movie again. I think I mentioned before, one of the all-time classics.
Breakdancing.
Yeah, breakdancing.
Nunchuck skills. Things like that.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot else, guys.
No.
Well, You've wasted another half hour listening to us prattle on and on and on about stuff.
Gotcha again.
But thank you for joining us, and we'll hit you back with another one here in a few days. Have a good one.
Take care.
See you on the side.
You have been listening to the Jack Mountain Bushcraft Podcast. For more information on our professional wilderness guide training programs that are college accredited and GI Bill approved, visit us on the web at jackmtn.com.